Hi everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight, the horror movie show here on the Mild Fuzz Network. I'm Peter, and this is none other than the goat-loving, pizza-loving professor, comedian, comic book writer, extraordinaire, Tim Vergilish.
Hey, what's up? Big shout out to my students, as that's what I like to call my fans.
Yeah, your students, yeah. Yeah. And your longtime fans, are they your alumni?
Yep. Um, and then the people that I'm not really a big fan of, but I can't get rid of, those are my tenure. Um, but shout out to them as well because it's all love on this podcast.
With that said, people, we do talk about horror movies. And on this episode, to follow up the last episode, we are going to be talking about the new Purge film, the Purge election year, which has if just recent release. It came out recently, and yeah, we're gonna dive into it. And we didn't like the first one. We fairly liked the second one. The second one was a big improvement. And this one, and we will be starting spoiler free, and we will stay spoiler free until you are warned, and then we'll go into the what we call the spoiler crypt. So the plot for this one is that uh, Elizabeth, I can't remember her real name, Juliet from Lost is running for president, and her goal is to eradicate the purge. She thinks it's a terrible idea. In fact, the movie starts with a flashback to something awful happening to the rest of her family on a purge night, and her political goal is to get rid of it. And
She wants to kill it.
she's got some support, and of course the people who like the purge, the higher ups. Basically, this whole thing, like the last two movies, is a metaphor for guns and violence and gun control. So all the people, basically the quote unquote NRA of this universe decides on Purge Night they're going to assassinate her, and they lift the rule from the first two movies that certain like government officials over a certain
Like
rank.
level 10 employees or something are no longer safe.
Yeah, I have no idea what level 10 really means in terms
Yeah,
of. It's a made up
you
number.
just assume, yeah,
Yeah,
high up government people.
yeah. But they've got rid of that rule just purely so they can execute her on
Yeah.
Purge Night and get her out of the running. And still no one's. No, everyone who supports the Purge hasn't seen the problem with the Purge when stuff
Yeah.
like this can go down. But whatever. So that's the plot of the movie, and Frank Grillo's character from the second movie is actually her head of
Back.
security. Yeah, he's back. He's become a bodyguard for a presidential candidate. So that's cool. I like that they brought him back because he was a badass in the second movie,
Yeah.
and it gives it that added sense of continuity, which hasn't overly been there from one till two.
Yeah, 2 and 3 definitely feel more connected than 1,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. The only thing that really connects one all on the basic premise is stuff like the announcement video that plays.
Yeah.
That one character who does pop back up into, but it's a minor role, so it's not, that's basically it.
Yeah.
And these do feel more connected. So other than them, we also follow a group of characters who own and work in a sort of small store, a deli, which comes under attack from a group of vicious teenage girls. More of them in the spoiler section. um, now, that's the gist of the movie, and of course, these different characters' paths cross. Frank Grillo has to protect Juliet from Lost, as I'm going to continue calling her, through the night, so that she can actually make it to the election. Which is so it's an interesting idea. I like that they came up with something that was like a different spin on it, because they could have very easily just said, "Oh, a different group of characters stuck out in the purge."
What it kind of feels like to me is it feels like it's kind of like they figured out what worked about the second one, and it's pretty much just more of the same of that, like a different story, but like the same type of kind of action. Like it's about a small group of individuals that kind of through circumstance come together and have to survive the night and are kind of, going in and out throughout the city and kind of meet up with different people and stuff.
Yeah,
Which I'm not necessarily complaining because, like we said, we like the second one, and I kind of feel like if you like the second one, this is pretty much more of the same, you know?
kind of. I do think they put a different, enough of a different, like, at least in terms of the themes, like bringing in the whole election and someone actually trying to
Yeah.
change it. It at
Mhm.
least gives it a different enough, like, a plot and flavor to make it feel like it's not just the same movie again.
Yeah, it's not a total retread.
Yeah, because
So
they could have easily just done that. They could have done the same thing that most like sequels to horror movies do, and it's just do the exact same plot with a different group of characters.
yeah,
And this didn't feel exactly like that. This felt like it was actually at least trying to explore some new things. Because there was a lot of little things they put in this one that never came up in the last couple, like the high-ranking government officials who are behind the purge,
true. Yeah,
and they are fusing things. And also even something as simple near the start as a guy who sells all the creepy masks that they all wear,
yeah.
and he's like trying to sell them like. And
Mhm.
he also this isn't a spoiler, but he shouts out, it's like the purge is like Halloween for
Halloween for
adults.
adults. Yeah, which is
I don't get that
it's a
line.
bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, because
'cause-
that implies that kids are running about killing each other on Halloween.
yeah,
Last I checked.
or that like killing people is the grown-up version of candy, I guess,
All that, yeah, one of those two.
which is like not.
Could be that.
Which, I mean, I don't know about you, but that's not something I've really indulged in yet.
Hmm. Yeah, I did. I like the characters in this one. Obviously, I like Frank Grillo because he's back. I liked.
Hmm.
I'm going to keep calling her Juliet because I can't remember her name. And I liked.
She
Yeah.
she annoyed me a bit.
Oh really?
Just like, I mean, I don't know. I totally understand what she was doing, um, because I don't. This isn't really like much of a spoiler because they like, in the beginning they wanted to. They knew people were gonna try to kill her, so like, hey, let's set up this gigantic safe house with tons of security measures. She's like, no, we're just gonna do it in my own house. Like, people wouldn't like, trust me if I ran away and stuff. And like, I get it, that's noble or whatever, but at the same time, it's like, you know, fuck, like I think maybe people might give you a little bit benefit of a doubt when people are definitely going to be trying to kill you because you're doing this super controversial thing. I was like, just go with like the super secure house. Don't stay in like your, obviously better than average house or apartment, whatever kind of place she was staying at, but still. Um,
Nah, I see what you're saying there. But I think for the rest of the movie, though, typically I like her character because she has like this moral
oh yeah,
voice
yeah,
amongst
she is
everyone
definitely
else.
likable. Yeah.
I like the characters from the store, which is the owner. He's like
Mhm.
sort of one employee, and their female friend who used to be a total badass, and occasionally will show that she's still a total badass.
Yeah.
Like I like those characters as well, just as much, if not maybe more than some of the side characters in the second movie.
Yeah.
Because I liked because the store owner's whole thing is that, and this is again something they bring up in the movie that wasn't really brought up in the last one, is that everyone's gets insurance for Purge Night in case like
Mhm.
their property gets damaged or whatever, and because insurance is gone, a big part of his plot is that he has to like stay there on Purge Night to potentially defend it.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good like plot device. Like if you look at it in contrast to the second movie where you
The
just had
car,
like
yeah,
yeah, whereas like people that were like just driving out like a couple hours before Purge night is like frustrating as hell. Like, why would you do that? At least this had like a reason. Like, oh, I get it. Like, he has a very small shop and he needs to protect it. Like, there's actually a very good legitimate reason for him to be there and out on that night.
yeah, yeah. So I thought that was good. I thought some of the action was also fun.
Hmm.
This is definitely though, because I said the second one was less of a horror movie. This one probably is even more of a nudge towards out of the horror. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a few moments, there's a few things here or there, uh, and it definitely treats some of the tense bits like it's a horror movie.
yeah,
Stuff like the opening, stuff like towards the end when like there's well, I can't spoil it, but the whole like, last act.
I think at this point you kind of know what you're gonna get with a Purge movie. Like, we kind of have this outer shell of the main story, but it kind of, becomes like this backbone for these little vignettes of like, you're gonna get creepy people in masks and
Yeah,
kind of like demented, messed up costumes and like, with some like weird vehicles and weapons and stuff. And um, like all that stuff is done well. I feel like, um, but yeah, it's I don't know, I'm losing my train of thought, but you know what I mean. Like you kind of know what you're getting into. I feel
yeah,
like.
yeah. Because the second one did a lot of cool things as well, but it introduced the whole this army division dynamic. This one also
Mm,
had like an army division dynamic because they're the ones that are after they're the assassins essentially,
yeah.
led by a guy who is basically a neo-Nazi from what I could tell.
Yeah, that was interesting. Something else too. You kind of get the like international
Oh yeah, I like this as well.
appeal.
This was cool. Yeah, at the start of the movie, they sell the idea that people from other countries actually come like on vacation to the US for the purge so they can kill people. and, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just bringing out the worst of humanity. Like, like this is just awful.
Like you had some like they're interviewing. I forget where it was exactly. It was
I
like
mean,
some type of Eastern European.
I don't know. I think it was maybe like Denmark or Sweden or
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Nordic countries.
Yeah. So like yeah, that was like another like cool little interesting thing, and then the you kind of get more of the um what would you call it? I guess like the ultra right kind of side of like government and politics. Like you kind of
Yeah,
see more of the like you actually kind of see I guess when they talk about the founding fathers, kind of who those
yeah.
people are.
Which
And
see, I like that they kept expanding it like this. Like the first one was really just like confined to a house. We knew what the purge was, but we didn't get any of this world context. The second one added a lot of that, and then this third one is like filling in all these little gaps that you might think, oh, like can other people come to the country? Are they allowed to participate? You know,
yeah,
and so
it
on. So
yeah, it's like little by little they're sprinkling in new ideas, which it's cool because it like it's still like each movie it's still enough of kind of what you're expecting when you watch the trailers. Like again with crazy over the top violence and just nutso people and weird masks and and being creepy and stuff. But then little by little, they're kind of like slowly expanding the world and the universe and sprinkling in new ideas, which is it's pretty cool and commendable. I don't know if like a lot of series, really do that. They either go way off the boards or kind of just do the same old thing. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
yeah. It's not an amazing movie, but like you say,
Mhm.
it's pretty solid for what it is. If you like the second one, it's kind of is more of similar stuff, but they do add all these elements. Like after the first one, they could have just done another movie in a house. After the second one,
Yeah.
they could have just done another movie that was the exact same.
Mhm.
And they didn't. Each time they've added new things. I've actually got an idea for what the fourth movie could be, but I
Ooh.
can't talk about it until we do spoilers because
Okay.
obviously it ties into the end of the movie.
Oh, very
But
cool.
nah, so but
Mhm.
I think we'll wrap up the spoiler free section here.
Okay.
I'll just say I think it's fun. I think it's so. I think it's probably on par with the second one.
Yeah.
Maybe I think there's maybe a couple of sections that don't gel as well as the second one, so I might knock it down slightly compared to it, but not by much. Like if you enjoy the second one, I think you're going to enjoy this one too.
Yeah, oh no, without a doubt. Like I imagine if you like the second one or a series as a whole, then this isn't going to disappoint. I
Oh,
feel like I would. Sorry.
I was going to say easily better than the first though. Still,
Oh, right.
yeah.
I feel like I would have to like I'm going a little bit on memory because at this point I probably saw this like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I feel like if I was going to make a like clear judgment if I like this or the second one better. I probably need to watch this one more time just to
Right.
have it really fresh in my mind. But I do remember leaving the theater kind of being like, yeah, I don't know if I like this as much as the second one, but it's definitely close.
Yeah. Which is fine. Like
Oh yeah,
it's a fair consistency between the two of them, which is great.
without a doubt. Yeah.
So yeah. So from this point on, we're getting to spoiler crypt, full spoilers for the movie. So don't listen to the rest. Watch the rest if you haven't seen the movie or you just you care about spoilers. You know, like yeah. So
Mhm.
uh, yeah. It's all about the teenage girls because this is kind of like the
Okay.
early act of the movie where we see these two teenage girls come out of the store and try to steal a candy, and they are two of the most foul-mouthed, awful human beings I have ever seen in my life. Like
Yeah.
when she like threatens to like yell rape, but if the shop owner tries to like take his stolen goods back or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, and this is when we learn, of course, that his friend, like the female, like used to be like a total badass because she comes up and like scares the shit out of them.
Yeah, I kind of almost would like to know more about this lady, exactly like what she did in the past that kind of made her so
Yeah,
famous and stuff.
I feel like if there is a fourth one, she could come back as well and like
Oh yeah.
because actually that's something we didn't mention in the spoiler free section is what she does on Purge night is she actually volunteers in like a little like medical van that
Mhm.
drives around and tries to like collect people who are injured but not dead. And it's very risky because there's no rules saying they can't be attacked, but people
Mhm.
generally don't attack them out of I don't know decency.
It's kind of like there's a like an understanding of the neighborhood. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, you don't fuck with those guys. So
Although it's weird though. I mean, if you're willing to kill people on the night, but you have this code where no, I want to attack them. They're helping people.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird to me, but yeah, that's fine. But
Yeah.
that was a cool idea as well. Though the idea that there's people out there trying to help the
Yeah.
injured is nice. But no, she was a cool character. I liked her.
Yeah. No, that was cool. And then um this whole section really got me excited because everything in like that deli
Hmm.
and like on that street outside of it was actually filmed in my hometown of Woonsocket, Rhode Island.
Oh dear.
So yeah, tells you a lot about how nice of a place that was that they decided to film the Purge there. Uh, but no, I mean, I know you've had this in movies before, like
Hey,
Under
it
the
could be worse.
Skin.
It could be worse, Timmy.
Yeah,
They could like decide to shoot like I don't know Schindler's List 2 at your hometown.
yeah, definitely. But no, like you've got this before, like with other movies, but like yeah, it was like it was a real trip, kind of being like, oh shit, like that's like they're outside. I was like, oh, that's usually Domino's parking lot and like
Hmm.
all this stuff. So that obviously it's not going to be matter much to other people, but it's pretty cool to me.
I mean, I like the stuff later on, but the first like third of the movie is probably my favorite
Hmm.
because of all the stuff at that deli. Because I feel like them in the roof, them like watching out, and then when that car rolls up, they're covered in like Christmas lights,
Yeah,
and these like creepy fuckers step out, and then she takes off the mask, and it's the teenager,
yeah,
and like they really go over the top with this that this teenager and her friends are all batshit insane because she's like. I already took care of my parents tonight. Now
yeah.
you're next, old man.
She like what does she say? She's like, I want my candy bar, old man.
Yeah,
Like,
and she's like
um,
swearing like a trooper. She's like
yeah.
being proper crazy. Um,
Which
credit to them when the car, like when the medical van comes in and like drives into her because they're about
yeah,
to break in and they're going to like kill everyone inside. Because by this point, Frank Grillo's character and Juliet from Lost are in there. I could just say the senator. I couldn't have, but no, I'm not going to.
yeah, no, that's fun.
Juliet from Lost is better,
Yeah.
and I just like because they actually don't shy away from it. The van comes in and it properly hits her, and you see her go under the van, and it
Yeah.
is proper brutal. And actually, I really like this sequence because it was just like the violence was really on point with I can't remember the character's name, but the female badass just being a badass.
I think that's what works for it so well is that like I don't know, it might be like a little too disturbing or like a little hard if it's just kind of more normal, people in just like regular clothes
Mm.
and that kind of stuff, like it might, I don't know, might hit a little too close to home or be like a little too real or something. But just the
Yeah.
fact that it's like really, really over the top people screaming, yelling, weird masks and clothes and like, yeah, cars with like Christmas lights and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I mean, other than good people who might die and they're like obviously treated as victims, like all the
Mhm.
people who the heroes might hurt are all clearly bad and insane.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I think in the world we're living in 2016, I think to have heroes like just casually gun down people would probably just feel a bit too,
Yeah.
like the world we're in, we don't really want to see that, you know.
Yeah.
Like there's enough of that in real life.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, make them crazy, make them psychopaths, make them earn their deaths is basically what happens.
Exactly.
And
They're like all like, I don't know, like Joker goons or something
yeah,
like.
basically they're all manically laughing and
Yeah.
doing all because all the camera angles are like really close up in her face. And she's like, her eyes are out, and she's like, "I want my fucking candy bar, man!" Like it's like proper psychotic. Uh,
Yeah.
but we get this whole idea of this militia who are like helping people, but they're also going to assassinate the head of the fathers who
Mhm.
she's running against,
Yeah.
and like she's dead set against this. And I did kind of like this because it was the whole like it means more if I beat him because I convince people, not because you have used his violence. Like violence just breeds
Mhm.
more violence, which is a classic argument. There's nothing original about
Yeah.
that. And
It's like it's why Batman doesn't kill the Joker. It's
exactly,
like
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you have to show him that our way works.
yeah.
Um,
Which yeah, and it totally makes sense. Like she's trying to get rid of the purge. She's not going to purge someone to
do it, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's that same that complex. Then she gets nabbed, of course, and it becomes like a big rescue mission at the end because she gets taken to the forefathers, like who are all a bunch of rich people celebrating, and they're all going to take turns stabbing her.
Yeah,
And
they're doing some type of like I don't think they mentioned this before, but it's like some type of kind of like midnight mass or something like at a church.
yeah, part of me was wondering why they don't just start purging at the start of the purge. But I guess since they're rich people and they don't go out and get people, they have to wait until the like whoever they hire to
That's
go
what it
fetch people.
feels. Yeah, what it feels like. And they kind of showed a little bit of this in like the second one and stuff when they had the father sold himself and was driven to this family's
Mm,
home. I get the feeling like these like the really really rich people like don't want to bother with they don't want to risk going out themselves and possibly killed, so they have very controlled environments where
yeah.
they can purge, and it's more of a ceremony as opposed to like a an all out you know kill fest that people roaming the streets are doing.
Yeah. Um, but no, I don't know if there's any other spoiler sections that I really want to hit on. Other than I guess the ending where
Yeah,
it flashes forward. Oh, I will say actually before we move on, I really like the sort of the arc of the friendship between Joe and Frank Grillo's character.
yeah.
Because Frank Grillo's just giving him shit and not trusting him at all. All the movie, and then obviously at the end, Joe sacrifices himself to save Juliet.
Yeah. He has one of the like craziest lines in the movie when like someone gets kicked in their balls and he says, "Good night, blue cheese." Which like at first I wasn't cat cause.
Tim's cat's
Come
causing
on.
chaos.
Yeah. Which I wasn't sure at first. I was like, there's no way he said that. I must have misheard that. And then like I posted about it on Facebook. I was like, I think he says this, and someone's like, no, he definitely says that. I was like, oh, okay. Good night, blue cheese. That's
Yeah,
whenever
I'm
someone
sure.
gets hit in the balls, that's what you
Yeah.
say.
Well, they had their old friend as well. What was it the old friend said? He was like, "All I think about is food and pussy" or something like that. It was something in pussy, but he was like 80 years old, so it was really weird and funny.
Yeah.
Um, but then so it skips ahead like a
Okay.
couple of months, and we see the election results coming in,
Hmm.
and it appears that she's been successful,
Hmm.
and she is going to be president. And this is where I was thinking, like, well, now that she's won, there's no more purge. So would you do a fourth one? And I was like, wait a minute. she's only just become president. It would take time to get legislation moving forward and actually enacting the laws and all that. So I was thinking she would get it in play, but it wouldn't be ready in time for the next purge. So the fourth purge would be the last purge. And when I say the last purge, I don't necessarily mean the last purge movie. They could think of some reason to bring it back.
Yeah.
But like for the people in the world, this is the last
like
chance you're going to get to
the
do
final
this.
purge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's extra dangerous because people who were considering stuff but never went through with it would be like, well,
Yeah.
this is my one last chance.
That would be cool. I'd see that. Which I imagine they must be doing another one because
Probably.
I feel like these. I mean, I don't pay attention to the box office at all, so I could be wrong as hell.
Luckily for you, I do. So
But I just feel like these movies are probably like pretty cheap to make, and
if I remember correctly, this one cost 10 million.
okay, and then I assume it probably did like, not crazy blockbuster numbers, but probably enough that it makes a pretty good profit.
Oh yeah, yeah, it
So,
definitely did. I think the last two were both like about 10 million budget, and they both made pretty good from it. Like almost to the point where you watch this and you go, I'm impressed they did this on 10 million, because
yeah,
now I mean as much as 10 million's a lot of money to a person, like for a movie it's not, especially now. Like I guarantee you, most of the movies that you go and see in the movies now, maybe not horror movies, which is what we talk about, but blockbusters and stuff, like most of them are costing at least like
yeah.
150 million, 200 million.
No, I'm sure they saved a good chunk of money by filming in Woonsocket. Probably.
Hey, if I could let them shoot in my house and get paid for it, I'd let them do it.
Oh yeah,
Couple of hundred. That's all I need, guys.
yeah.
You can, you know.
You just go see the movie, and it's just like, like, oh, we better go purge this really nerdy kid in his room.
Hmm. So, anything else you'd like to add to anything we've missed?
Uh,
Actually,
yeah.
the final fight scene between Frank Grillo's character and the neo-Nazi dude,
hmm
I enjoyed that. It was because it was like hand to hand combat, and it was like stabbing each other and stuff. It was a really visceral fight.
He was a good foil. I like the setup when they're in the senator's house, and you find out one of the guys is like, kind of being paid off to let everyone in and stuff. And I thought that was a pretty good tense, little scene. It's kind of like, oh shit, like how are they gonna, get out of this? But yeah, that kind of like set in motion like a cool little like, all right, yeah, this is the like, there's gonna be a lot of bad guys along the way, but this is kind of like the nemesis, the character is chasing
Yeah,
them through the city.
yeah. No, that was a good fight scene. I mean, he wasn't much of a character. He was just kind of this evil guy who, like,
hmm
but he looked the part, and the fight scenes with him were good. So,
Yeah.
no, that was good fun.
Mhm.
Anything else? Anything else you'd like to add before we get to the old biscuits out of 10?
Yeah, I will say also, probably really wouldn't expect this in a Purge movie, but I thought they did, a pretty good job of like making the characters likable and setting them up. That
Oh
I
yeah,
I did feel pretty, bummed when the shopkeeper, that's Joe.
yeah, Joe, yeah.
Yeah, when he died, I was like, oh, that sucks. You
Yeah,
know?
no, like I thought they did a decent job in the second one. I liked the mother daughter in the second one specifically,
Yeah.
but I feel like they did a really good job. I don't think there was any in the main group that we're following. I don't think there was anyone that I didn't like.
Yeah, like in the second one that
The couple were
it
about
yeah, like when the guy died or whatever, it was like it didn't like affect, me as much. While this like I legitimately like cared that, Joe died.
yeah. No, I agree. They did a good job with that.
hmm
So yeah, let's get to some ratings then. The
All right.
good old biscuits out of 10.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, because again, like I liked it, but I don't want to like, you know, I don't want to go crazy. Like, it's not my new favorite movie or series, so I'm not like, oh, like 9 or 10 and stuff. So Yeah, I was kind of thinking like it is still very, decent watch, and I did enjoy it. And if given the opportunity, I would probably wouldn't buy it, but I'd watch it again if it's ever like streaming or something. So I was thinking about seven, but then I got that hometown pride, so it's gonna bump it up just a little bit for me. So I give it a 7.5.
Cool. I'm going to go with a 7. I give the second movie a 7.5, and I feel like this is a 7. I think the half point of a difference is there, but
Yeah.
um, no, but no, it's solid stuff. For the record, I mean, we've not done Under the Skin on this show, but I didn't give that extra points because it was mostly filmed around places that I'm around. So,
Well, I mean, you hate where you live, so that's fine.
have I ever said that?
It was subtext, but yeah.
Oh, was it? Yeah, reading between the
Yeah.
lines, were you? Yeah. All this free healthcare and gun control, it's living hell, Tim. Living hell. Um, but yeah, that's the Purge election year. Uh, so yeah, you can if you didn't see or hear our last episode with the Purge and the Purge Anarchy, you can go check those out. And otherwise, guys, you can check out all the other stuff we do. We have regular movie content on the Mailed Fuzz Movies channel, which is the same channel this is on. But if you listen to the audio version, of course, you can head over to YouTube and see reviews of recent stuff like Star Trek Beyond and Jason Bourne and Ghostbusters and whatever else we do on the odd occasion. Plus, we have another channel on YouTube called the Mailed Fuzz TV channel, which we do weekly TV reviews of a bunch of different shows, as well as a DC Comics podcast where we talk about all the week's DC Comics. On top of that, you can just check us out on Twitter at mailed_fuzz. You can email us mailedfuzz@gmail.com. Also, check out our friends over at Rowan's Reviews. There'll be a link in the description. They do written reviews. They do some of the same movies we do, but they also do concerts and albums and stuff like that. So check them out. Also, help us out and like and subscribe and 5-star rating on iTunes and stuffs.
Yep.
And stay to the end to see Tim's drawing if you're on YouTube.
Hmm.
Highlight of the episode usually. It's Tim's
Okay.
drawing as the music plays. I think it is Tim. Don't sell yourself short.
Oh, thank you.
But no. So that's the Purge election year, and we will be back next time with something else. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Keep watching scary movies. We'll see you next time.
Good night, blue cheese.